Now that we've seen how to use TypeScript in the browser, we want to clean this up a little bit and create a build process that will bundle our JavaScript file into one file. Because right now, look at what we have to do. We have to reference every other library or JavaScript file that we reference in our HTML, and we don't want to have to do that. We only want to have to reference one JavaScript file, and this is called bundling. And it also makes using other libraries a lot easier, especially in the environment that we're in. So in order to bundle, we have to use some type of other tool to help us do that. In this scenario now, we're going to use Webpack. Webpack is the most used at the moment. This changes from time to time in Node especially. It used to be Browserify, but you can use any bundler you want. But for this, we're going to use Webpack. All right, and what a bundler does is that it pulls in all of the dependencies into one JavaScript file so we can just reference that. And it handles all of what order they need to be in there and how they're referenced and everything. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. So I've already pulled in a Webpack config file, but we also need to install Webpack. So let's do this first. So npm install Webpack, webpack-cli, and TS loader. These are all things that are needed by Webpack in order to work. So we're going to install these. Get them in our project. And now they're here under node modules. And now this Webpack config can come into play. So let's see what's happening here. We're pulling in path from node just so we can build out our path down here. We're saying this is a development environment. What's our entry point to our program? So it's hello.ts. That still stays the same. Let's just provide some source mapping. Don't worry about that for now. And these are the rules of what's going to happen when Webpack compiles. Saying look for any TS files and use TS loader to handle those files. Exclude our node modules folder because it has a bunch of stuff in there that we don't want to be part of our project. And then these are the file extensions that it's going to resolve. So it will also pull in any JavaScript that we reference. And then the output is going to be in an app.js file. And it's going to put it in a dist directory under JavaScript. So it's going to output it somewhere different rather than at hello.js. So let's make this work. And I'm going to make this file available to you. You can get it on the activity in the course. So you don't need to copy this down. You can just go copy it out of that reference material that we have. All right. So now let's see how this works. So once that's set up, our TS config stays the same. I didn't install Webpack globally, but you could, and then you wouldn't have to use npx here. If you're on a Mac, you won't have to use npx either, but on Windows, you do. So say npx Webpack, and this is going to go and try to do a build, and it has crashed. Because it cannot find module TypeScript. So we also need to install TypeScript. Forgot about that one. And now we're going to do npx Webpack. Now we're probably going to get an error still here. No, it's still compiled, but our project probably is not going to run. Let's go ahead and set this up. So now we have this dist folder with app.js. So let's do that instead. So we're going to say dist /js/app.js. There we go. Now let's go to our browser and run this. And we'll see that dollar is not defined. That's because we haven't actually imported it into our file. So here we're using dollar in our hello.ts file, but we haven't imported it. So now the way Webpack works, if we import something in this file, it's going to bundle whatever we import into our app.js. So let's look real quick. Our app.js right now is relatively small. It's just got this code here of ours. The rest of this is just some Webpack boilerplate code. If you're down here, this is the only code that's ours. And it's pretty small. This is the whole file. It's 104 lines. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to import dollar from jQuery. So this is an import statement. This is an ES6, all right, ES 2017, some syntax that we're going to use here. And that's going to let Webpack know that it needs to pull jQuery into the bundle. So now let's go run that again, npx Webpack. And npx Webpack knows to look at this config file, and that's how it's working. So now let's look at our app.js, and we'll see that it's huge. It has, wow, a lot of lines. Let's see, over 10,000 lines of code. That's because it's pulled in jQuery into our app.js. So if we run this now, everything works as we expected, because now that app.js also includes jQuery. And if we imported something like Moment or anything else here, it would also end up in that app.js. So this is really important when you're starting to build your project and using lots of libraries. You don't want to have to reference all of them in your HTML. You want to be able to just bundle them up into one JavaScript file and run it from there. Now, let's do one other thing, and that's set up our project to actually have a way to watch these files. So I'm in my package.json. I'm going to create a dev script, and it's just going to be npx webpack -w. So this is going to run Webpack and watch, and then we'll add more of these scripts as we go along. But right now this one's pretty simple of what we need. So then we can run npm run dev, and that will build Webpack, and it will start watching the files for us. So if we go and change something in our TypeScript file now, for instance, let's add that click back in. We'll just add the click, and we'll have it say the same thing that we have here. Alert. All right, so when we save this, Webpack's going to compile it. We're going to come back over here, and we're running, and now our alert is back in there. And we only have that one JavaScript file. So this is how we do bundling. This is how you're going to want to set up all your projects, and so that it's a lot easier for us to reference those things in our HTML file. All right, that's it for this one. Now we're going to start really digging into some TypeScript as we move along.